My name is Katie Dodd with the Geriatric Dietitian. Over the next 5 minutes, I want to talk to you about my latest blog, Embracing Hospice, End-of-Life Nutrition. Mostly I want to take the time to talk about the food fight, and this is something that can occur between caregivers, family members, well-meaning people who love someone, and the dying patient. I want to first drive home this very important point that trying to force a dying person to eat will not extend their life. While that seems like kind of a no-brainer, when you're actually in the moment, it can be something that is difficult to grasp. And this is really the key point of my entire blog and something that I'll continue to reference back to. And it's that when someone is dying, they eat less food. It's part of the process of death. And with this decline with eating, we know that families and caregivers experience high levels of emotion and stress. We know that for persons who are in the final stages of illness, of terminal illness, and they're close to death, that eating more food will not improve their strength, energy, it will not help with their function, or even prolong their life. So again, trying to force a dying person to eat will not extend their life. So at the Geriatric Dietitian, we're very passionate about end of life, and we believe that end of life is just as important as any other stage of life. But it's not really a stage of life that's talked about a lot. If you think about it, we celebrate when someone gets pregnant, has a baby, that baby goes to school, they graduate from school, they get a job, have children of their own, they retire. We celebrate all these milestones in life, but death is something that's hard, and that's why we don't talk about it. So we believe that end of life is just as important as any other stage of life, and it deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and it needs to be talked about. I also wanted to mention that hospice is so important for end-of-life care. Often the hardest part for accepting or embracing hospice is the time frame associated with it. And that time frame is a 6-month window. In order to get on hospice, a doctor has to say this person has 6 months or less to live. And that can feel like perhaps they're accepting that they're dying or they're giving up. But the reality is that no one knows the exact moment someone's going to die. And hospice provides exceptional care. They provide resources for people. They can help relieve pain. They can help family members. And it helps the dying person have a good death. So we know that hospice also gives family members more peace of mind and satisfaction that their loved one's being taken care of. So hospice is very important in end-of-life care. End of life is hard. Researchers have acknowledged that when a dying person eats less at end of life, it can be charged with all kinds of emotional factors. It can cause families who aren't ready to embrace hospice to insist on force feeding and pressuring their loved ones to eat food. The food fight. In these situations, there's this false perception that if only I can get my loved one to eat, they'll live longer and feel better. It could also cause them to doubt or be frustrated with their healthcare providers or feel like their loved one isn't being taken well care of. And that can cause a whole host of other stress and anxiety. So we know that when end of life comes, time left is short. And there are far too few precious moments to be had between the family, the caregivers, their loved ones, and the dying patient. And that time shouldn't be wasted fighting about food. So what is the food fight? When an older adult stops eating, it can be distressing. Reduced intake that happens at end of life can cause, again, all kinds of emotion and be very difficult for the family and caregivers. And if you think about it, we associate food with nourishment with love, and we don't want our loved ones to suffer. So oftentimes, a well-meaning family member or caregiver may try to push or force fluids on a loved one. They don't want them to starve to death or feel like they aren't taking care of them. So they have guilt that I'm not giving them enough food. They are starving to death and they are dying because I'm not giving them enough food. But the reality is they're dying because they have a terminal illness and they're dying. And then you have the dying patient. They could feel miserable. Maybe they don't want to eat, but they're forcing themselves to eat anyways because they love that other person and they want to make them happy. So these emotions of guilt and misery, that's not what we want to see at the end of life. We want them to enjoy those moments. So the food fight is when there's arguing over whether a person at very end of life should eat. And again, that's the whole point of my blog. And I hope that you will take the time to go read it and learn the skills that you need to take back those moments. Because the reality is, when end of life is there, end of life is short, we don't want you wasting time fighting over food, and you can take back those moments. You can find my blog, Embracing Hospice End of Life Nutrition, at www.thegeriatricdietitian.com. Within this blog, we cover hospice, end-of-life care, what nutrition and hydration at end of life looks like, emotions associated with end of life, and most importantly, how you as a caregiver or family member can help to end the food fight and take back those precious moments. You'll learn those very simple roles that you can take to help. So thank you for your support. Go ahead and click on the link below and subscribe. Until next time.